Hey guys, me again, Orc What Ifs, and where we last left off, let's see, checking. Where we last left off on what if Deku was a fallen, this will be part 31. Well, Deku was in a deep, depressed period, you could call it. As he was sitting there rubbing his head, just thinking that he had completely failed at protecting those that put their trust in him to lead them. That they were originally the wolves, and now that they weren't, they're the panthers. He went into deep thought as when he came upon Kaminari, Kaminari had gathered all of his machinery, like people who build the machines and innovate the Fallen's already existing technology, trying to make it better. Not just trying to copy, but improve upon it. As that's when I also introduced May into it. I kinda had the feeling that I messed up with Kaminari trying to make him a technology expert. I kinda thought maybe I should have done May in the beginning, but that I'd already gone too far in the series. Kirishima and Mina, though, I feel like I have a nice place for them. As for Dabi and Twice, well, Twice is more or less, in the anime, he's borderline insane. Well, he actually is somewhat unstable. Not somewhat, he actually is completely unstable. And Dabi, well, Dabi's a weird case. He's a villain who fights for Stain's dreams. It's weird, for him at least. So I didn't really know what direction to put him in here. And I'll be honest with you, I put those two in because I thought it would be an interesting clash. But Mina and Kirishima and such, I feel like I did right by them by having Kirishima be like the, manly one, quote unquote. And having Mina be his, fun-loving sidekick, somewhat. And Toga being Deku's, well, pretty much the shoulder Deku goes to lean on when he feels like something's wrong. And he actually puts confidence in her as she's pretty much his counselor in a way. She listens to all his secrets and such. The things that, his doubts that he doesn't tell everyone else. She was actually one of the first to know about his light powers. Aside from, Nana. Deku's thinking, he's like, I must continue forward. As then he gets to work. As he organizes, as he thinks to himself, he's thinking that the Fallen, that his house will take a while to recuperate from this. But until then, he actually goes around asking for his Fallen to speak with the hunters, calling them forward to his palace. As when the hunters all arrive without delay, really. Maybe a few here and there that were in the battle don't show up, but he has, let's say, a couple hundred, well, let's say at the very least 100 hunters show up as they enter his palace, as they're still cleaning out the Cabal bodies. They're sweeping up the bullet casings and repairing the damage. As all the hunters stand there, Deku comes walking down the steps with his Panther's guard. As they all step before him, as one of the hunters step forward. What do you need, big boss? He's like, big boss? He's like, sorry. What do you need? What do you need to kill Deku? He's like, it pains me to ask, but can you stay for a while to keep us protected? We have received too many losses. Many are healing, and many may yet die. We need time to repair our weapons, our shanks, everything that was our defenses when the Cabal showed. As he says, I would also ask you to help run missions with Fallen teams led by my captains. You'd go in as support. They would not boss you around. You are free to do as you wish. I will not confine you to the walls I have put around my city. As some of the hunters are listening to this, thinking it's not that bad of a deal. They're thinking, that it's a pretty good deal if you think about it. He's letting us stay here. He's like, will we be provided places to house ourselves? He's like, yes, yes. The upper echelon of the city was in construction before the Cabal attack. It is almost finished. A few more things here and there since the Cabal attack, but from what I am told, progress is still going steady. As some of the hunters say, you avenged Cade's death when you took out that bastard Aldrin. It's the least we could do. Is scratch your back for a while. It's like, yeah, I agree. Some of the hunters ask, would there be rewards and such? Deku says, of course. I understand that you are guardians. Many of you chase after material gain. And I am not afraid to let loose the treasures I hold. You will receive Glimmer, and if the thing is put at a high enough risk level where I request a couple of fire teams of you instead of just a singular one, I will give you personal treasures that have been forged or found by me. One of them raises their hands. You make weapons? He says, not exactly. I find them. Keep them up to date, you could say. I have many Golden Age weapons, too. But not many of the Fallen really wish to use them. I will give them out as special rewards. As the hunters start cheering like, this is the best deal I've heard in ages. I'm almost 2,000 years old. As Deku lets out a chuckle, then you will help? As the Guardians say, we'll help you, big boss. Alright, boys. Alright, boys and girls, let's get to work. It's like, yeah. As they all start shouting, some of them take to helping around the city, cleaning up the mess and such, and help, since some of them know a bit about hacking, programming and all that, they get to work helping set up their defenses. As then a majority of them talk with Kirishima, as that's what Deku said, is that Kirishima is his mission commander, really. He handles all those kind of things. And for those who are extra sneaky, speak with Toga. She is our stealth operations. As each of them receive them with actual great care, as a few of the hunters take a bit of an extra step and actually wear colors using a dye mod or something like that, they pretty much make their colors the same as the Panthers, the black and white. As they're like, you know what? We look stylish as hell. As some of them are like, yeah, we do. As they all as a few of them start doing dances. Fallen actually, a few in the streets, and a few Fallen actually start playing music. As Deku looks down to the streets and sees the hunters are actually bringing a bit of joy back to his little city. He feels happy. Knowing that his citizens will not suffer. As then Zavala and the rest of the Fallen that were trying to get over there actually arrive. As, the hunters never went into the city, as I explained beforehand. After Cade died, they all just disappeared because none of them wanted to be the hunter vanguard. None of them. As now that the hunters are letting this be known, that Deku is willing to house them for free as long as they do missions and such, more hunters are coming in. As Zavala gets wind of this, he's like, as long as they're doing their duty and clearing out the enemy's humanity, I am fine. As Ikora's like, yeah, it seems they've taken a liking to how Deku runs the city. And it seems the hunters are actually performing at a higher level there. Not as many rules and red tape as she would put it. But yeah. As some of the people inside the city of the consensus say, from what they hear, reports that Deku's Fallen are all over the system, digging up old Golden Age areas, taking apart colony ships. As they're actually demanding that Zavala gets to the bottom of this. As Zavala says, Deku City was just attacked. His walls were taken down and his people killed. and we were unable to help. What do you think he's doing? He is upgrading his defenses and taking in that extra scrap metal that's just been lying there. I will not jeopardize our treaty with him just because you feel uneasy. As Zavala has gotten kind of tired of how the consensus has been about Deku, as they've all, pretty much essentially, they've been constantly bitching at him. That's all they do. They literally complain to him saying that Deku's dangerous, Deku's doing this, as Zavala's kind of grown tired of it, as he thinks that Deku has proven himself more than just a valuable ally. He's proven a good friend at times. As he notes that he went to the shore to kill all the scorned barons, and even Aldrin Sov himself. Has that not earned him a place amongst the treaties of the cities? As well as bringing 2 new houses, keeping the reef as safe as possible with the amount of burdens he already has. As far as Zavala is concerned, if the traveler decide to leave the last city for the Deku's little fallen city, he wouldn't be fine with it, but he'd understand it. Because he sees that the Guardians and the consensus at times become, as he would put it, maybe unworthy, as his faith gets shaken from time to time. But he ignores that and just continues on. As Deku gets weekly reports from Kaminari about the progress of the ship. As it says, "The ship is going well, Deku. It seems that we are making faster progress than anticipated. The hunters actually have some expertise amongst them. Some of them know about Cabal tech and Fallen tech, and have been able to find some ways to mend them together. As some of them even know ships of the old age of Earth. We were thinking of trying to speak with Rasputin." Deku says, "That would be wise. I could try to get Anna Bray to assist us. Rasputin may know, Deku says, the war minds were great tacticians for some of them. Though he trusts his fleet commanders, or his, as he would call them, the commanders. No, they wouldn't just simply be captains or even barons. In his mind, they would hold a step above them, because Deku is in his mind, building a future for the Cabal right now in those ships. That he's building ships that could, as they would put it, rival a city's worth of firepower in themselves. Even the last safe city, as he would put it, it should be able to go toe-to-toe with their defenses for a while. At the very least. No, not just a while. Should be able to go toe-to-toe with their defenses for at least a week. And he's trying to make 2 of them. So he's thinking, he knows who he wants as their commander. Their commanders. But he's trying to decide what to call them. As he's thinking of a name, a rank even, that would be trusted. As he just thinks of it as it's very simple, his most trusted subordinates, or family, as he would put it, would be the ones put in charge. So he calls them his right and left hands. As they're put in charge of the ships, and as of course you know it, Kirishima and Toga would be the ones in command of the ships. As with Kirishima in control of it, he pretty much got a portable fortress in that ship. He can deploy to battle zones all over, so that way he isn't just stuck at one city. And Toga gets her ship, which will be a bit smaller than Kirishima's, since hers would kind of be equipped for some stealth, a little bit. And this way, Deku also secures a future for his people, because in case the city is ever attacked, and Deku is killed, there is at least 2 people who could take his place as the commander, as the Kells of the Panthers. And those ships would also have thousands of fallen on them. Not just thousands, like tens of thousands of fallen on them. So that way they would even have enough to start a smaller house if it came down to it. Deku is thinking about this very clearly, as he calls in Kirishima and Toga to speak with them about this. As they accept the honor, but they ask, what about Deku? Deku says his place is here, amongst the city. You two, though, you are my commanders, taking the fight to the enemy in my stead. I wish I could mount those ships myself and drive a dagger through all the enemies of our kind. But unfortunately, that is not yet so. I will be marooned here for a time being. But until then, you two are in command. When they are finished, that you shall give them their names. Whatever you decide. As they bow their heads, thank you, Deku. It is all right. You two were the obvious choice. As they bow their heads and leave, Deku going back to thinking on his throne. As the city is getting rebuilt quickly, very quickly. As more fallen, actually, after hearing that, they pretty much kicked the Cabal's titanic buttocks back out of system, as they also hear that they've taken them prisoner and are actually being put to work. The Cabal are pretty much, well, they still have their pressure suits, but that's more or less to keep them alive, since they come, I believe they come from a moist world, like a high pressurized world and such. Sorry. They're not able to survive in Earth's climate that well. I believe so, at least. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm sorry. But I digress. Deku and them are just sort of, as the Cabal are put to work, the Scion actually hears how, as fallen guards are walking by, hey, have you heard about the dreadnoughts that the Kel's ordered to be commissioned? Yeah, they're taking like 3 different techs from 3 different cultures and just smashing them together. How does that work? As it's like, hey, I don't know. Neither of us are tech heads. But I believe in the boss. He's gonna get things done. It's like, yeah, I know. Deku has been the best thing to happen to the Fallen since ever, right? As it's like, yep. And to think, we almost followed Skolos in the battle. Like, yeah, can you believe that? If we'd done that, we'd already probably end up dead. House of Wolves would be dead. As the other Fallen says, House of Wolves is dead. It's been dead for a long while. Can't think of a single wolf that still wears the blue colors. Yeah, even the ones that followed our house with the most favor, whatever. They have actually all switched to Deku after what he's done. They're thinking his ideas are kind of right. As the Scion has her interest piqued in this and actually starts trying to get more information, tidbits and whatnot. As Osiris actually appears one day to Deku, kind of questioning about him on the fact that he's building 2 giant dreadnoughts in his homeland, as he would put it. As Deku says, Osiris, just the one I wish to speak to. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, tell me, you say the Vex have prediction engines, correct? As he's like, yes. They're complex things that try to predict outcomes of battles with pre-known data. As Deku says, good. Do you think it would be possible to install one upon a ship? As Osiris says, Deku, you may... As he starts trying to talk Deku about the complexity of that situation and how difficult, as Deku just says, is it possible? As Osiris rubs his forehead, he's like, I don't know. It could be impossible. It could be easy. We don't know. I've never had to try it. It's like, how do they work? Well, they predict a load of possible futures from likely events that have been going on. As Deku says, it's good. I wish to make sure we are never blinded again. Would you help us do this? As he's like, I don't owe you any favors, Deku. I understand that, Osiris. I'm asking you as the leader of a people that wishes to keep them safe. Will you help me? Osiris is thinking, as Sagiro's like, hey Deku, I know what you're thinking, but it could be a really bad idea. Trust me, I've been around this guy long enough to know playing with the Vex tech, especially stuff like this, can lead to bad situations. As Deku says, I'm not hearing a no. As Sagiro's like, oh god, he's as bad as you. As Osiris says, we will assist you, but we will be taking this personally in hand. And also some of the ones that are more knowledgeable of the Vex would be useful. As Deku says, very well. As we skip forward to Shadowkeep. As he hears about the fortress, the Scarlet Fortress upon the moon, as he thinks to himself, some moon hive erected a fortress on the moon? Interesting. I'll see if there are any more of my panthers left. As he hears panthers talking to him, but they sound wrong, and they sound scared, terrified even, as he orders for his men to go up there as they bring him back, as his troops are borderline crazy, as they're like crying, and some of them are just disturbed, saying that, get away, no, it wasn't my fault, as they are just having these emotions of fear, sadness, rage, everything bleed out of them. As Deku has no idea what's going on, he orders for his troops to get them some rest, some peace of mind, anything. As Deku rubs his forehead, he eventually gets paid a visit by Eris Morn. She talks with him, saying that there is something on the moon. As Deku says, I've noticed. My troops that were stationed there, they are not the same. No, they are not. The Hive are performing a deep magic there. I believe we need to stop this. As Deku thinks, very well. Go forth. I will send you backup when it is time. She's like, I'll need a landing zone established around these coordinates. From what I can tell, there isn't much there, but there's still a chance something could pop up. Deku says, I'll send my frames. Frames and machines do not know fear. Zeres Morn says, that is wise, Deku. Thank you for your assistance. I'll report to I'll report to Ikora. Deku says, you do that. And Eris Morn, do you think later you could help me develop countermeasures to Hive magic to ships? She's like, that is a possibility. How big would the ships be? Almost as big as half of this city. She's like, that would be quite the feat, Deku. As he's having to take a lot of materials. This is like months in the future of constant progress. Since they have so much intact salvage, they're able to more easily do it, but it's still taking forever. They even have Osiris like helping them a bit with his machines. This is a joint project between 3, maybe 4 factions. The city, aside from a select few, even knows slightly of what Deku's doing. And that's how Deku wishes to keep it. As his frames are securing Eris Morn an area to land down on, trying to find out about it, Deku gets some of the first reports from Eris, even before Ikora. as Eris understands that Deku will jump headfirst into a situation if he deems it necessary. Or that's at least what she thinks. As she noticed that Deku, instead of offering normal soldiers, and with Eris having to correct him, he offered his frames. No, and he didn't offer anyone to lead them, any fallen or nothing. He just said that he'd send frames with her, and that was about it. As Eris Morn thinks, did the attack on his city change him? As Zavala and all them at the other cities have too, as well as the Kells from the Alliance, the House of the Rising Sun, or whatever I named them. They all know that Deku has shifted. His ideals, the same, but how he's going about them is different. And his operations to attack enemy targets, like for instance fallen installations and such, he sends them a request to either surrender or die. Not a surrender and leave peacefully. It's a surrender. It's a surrender or die situation. Or surrender and leave. That is what he gives them. As most of them opt to take the whole leaving part since they know who Deku is. And they know his forces are no joke to mess around with either. As they also hear that Guardians are helping him now. And Deku's teams are going out and collecting salvage and all that. With the hunters there, they're able to recognize more valuable things as well. As hunters are able to get into places Fallen couldn't. They are a massive success among his own troops. Sorry. As even Eri, over in the reef, notices this. And she worries, but she has her own things to worry about. As Deku gets reports from Eris, as he immediately acts, requesting that Eris put up ways to keep the nightmares away, as she gave a very good description of what the nightmares are, as she has found some ways to suppress them somewhat. Not greatly, just barely enough. As Deku says, his teams won't be there for long. They'll be coming in and out, switching in and out. So that way their own nightmares don't manifest. She asks, will Deku be coming to the surface of the moon? As Deku absolutely objects, saying that if he was to come to the moon, the nightmares that he has would be unleashed upon it as well. His nightmares would ravage the world. As he somewhat not confides in her, but says he has more fears than anybody he has ever known. The fear, doubt, all of it would manifest there. As she bows her head, I understand, Deku. I see. I am sorry if I pushed the boundary a bit. He's like, it is okay, Eris Morn. You are a trusted ally. I'll make sure only those I believe who have the strong enough will to survive and help you will be sent. As he sends hunters in there along with them, as Eris Morn is actually kind of shocked here. She heard that the hunters were all around Deku's palace and such, and helping his city, but she didn't recognize that it was to the extent that they've pretty much unofficially a large part of the hunters are left, joined Deku, as they wear his colors and everything. As they follow the light and such, they just use the light to help Deku, their ally, as they put it. As when they arrive, they do missions for Eris Morn as well. At this point, Nana Shimura and the other Guardians I've talked about, like Ida, Momo, Tanjiro. Sorry, I watched the Demon Slayer movie earlier. It was actually pretty good. Momo, Bakugo, all of them come to the moon and start tearing things up. as eventually Nana Shimura meets Eris Morn, and that gets that whole storyline kicked off. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this. Hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.